I'm really going to dread going back to work tomorrow on the 6th because the temperature is going to be record-breaking here in the Rogue Valley. It's supposed to get to 106 tomorrow. And I already got sick last week from heat exhaustion, so I'm going to have to stay indoors probably as much as I can. No workouts, no nothing outdoors, because that's just dangerous. And it's supposed to be like 101 Wednesday and 101 Friday, and then finally we're gonna be done with it. And it can't come soon enough. I like 70s and 80s, and even low 90s is okay, but hotter than that I can't tolerate. And so that, I ain't like I used to be. But anyway, I was just asking myself the eternal question, are men really worth bothering with? It's like, first of all, I brought this up. Last week this was on my mind because I'd followed this case for many years about Dana Chandler, and she was the woman from Topeka, Kansas that was accused of killing her ex-husband Mike Sisko and his fiancee Karen Harkness back in July of 2002. And she was tried in 2012. It took 10 years before prosecution even got around to putting her to trial. And then, I'm so sick of these stupid things. Oh, cripe. Gotta go back. Anyway, and then she was convicted of the double murders, and she had 2 life terms of 50 years to be served concurrently, which would have put her over 100 years of age before she could be eligible for parole, since Kansas doesn't have a death penalty. Well, the prosecutor in that case committed misconduct. She literally made shit up in order to secure a conviction there. And so a few years ago, I think around 2018 or 2017, the Kansas Supreme Court threw out the conviction, and so it was sent back again to be tried again. So they tried her case again, and the trial went for over 3 weeks, and the jury deliberated for several days, and it ended in a hung jury. My understanding was the vote was 7-5 to convict. The problem is, here with this case, is she was the luckiest double murderer probably that ever lived. She was guilty as sin. But thanks to not just that prosecutor who was later disbarred, who made up shit to try to help their side, but the police screwed up early on when they didn't pick up evidence at the scene of the crime. They didn't pick up the cigarette butts. They didn't pick up the wine bottle that they could have run DNA tests on to show that she was there, that she snuck in at Karen Harkness's duplex that evening on that day to show she was there. And so the defense decided, well, it couldn't have happened the way they said because she was too short. She was 5'2", and somebody much taller, because of they claimed the trajectory of the bullets, it would have shown a person much taller would have done the crime. Well, the problem is there was no burglary, there was no robbery, because nothing of any value was taken. They had the couple had gambled at a local casino earlier on, and they won several $100s on the slots, and that money was still there. Mike had not a roll, I don't know what kind of brand of watch, but a very expensive watch. I don't want to say a Rolex, but a very expensive watch. That was still there. Nobody took anything of value. So it had to be somebody that had the motive, the means, and the opportunity. And there was only one person, and that was the ex-wife, Dana, who had harassed the pair for years. And then she lived in Colorado. She'd moved to a lot of different places, and he was in Topeka and had custody of their kids, Haley and Dustin, who thought this woman was guilty of sin. But she was known to travel from Denver to Topeka to harass them. So there's no reason why she wouldn't have done it. Because she had found out that he somehow had found out, whether he told her, and he probably did, that he was going to marry Karen. And that just set her off. That's all it took. And so she got all the goodies to make a long road trip a day or two before. Got those 2 gas cans, 5-gallon gas cans, because she wanted to make a straight trip without being caught by camera. And then fuel up and make it back to Colorado. Because there's a whole, 27 hours or something like that, 28 hours that's unaccounted for. She had no alibi that could check out. She had none. But they screwed up. The police screwed up. And she's smarter than the average person. Dana is. But the cops were just so inept that they didn't do their job. And it didn't help that during the first trial, the lead detective on there had lied to help the prosecution. That didn't help matters. So Dana Chandler was the luckiest person, double murderer probably that ever lived. She's not totally lucky because she's still incarcerated and has been for 10 years. And the decision has yet to be made whether they're going to retry or try her for a third time. But I feel so bad for her kids because they know she did it. All of her family, or not her family, but Mike's family know that she did it. And Karen's family, they all know that she did it because she harassed. And Mike had kept a day planner, had kept track of her harassment. I don't know if that was admitted as evidence or not. But it's a circumstantial case, and so many juries now, you got to have the DNA, you got to have blah, 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 blah. But circumstantial evidence is still evidence. But 5 people just were stupid, frankly. Really and truly stupid, and it was a slap in the face to the families. So I felt really bad. But really, was that worth committing a double murder for? Just because you couldn't have him, nobody else could? What the hell? But she had to pay child support too, because he had custody of the kids. Total custody. And she owed, I think, something like $7,000 in back child support. But was that really worth it? And then I saw this in the Daily Mail. Some woman who had a good career as a Wisconsin news anchor. She killed herself because her fiance had cheated on her, and then he called off the engagement before the wedding. So he was a jerk. He had been married before and had a couple of kids and stuff, and he was like 11 years older than her. And anyway, but instead of being able to cope with it, instead of being able to get maybe a therapist, she killed herself. Was he worth doing it? Was he worth killing yourself for? She had her whole life ahead of her. She was 27. And then I see this today, and this is pretty good. There's a new book, and I went ahead and ordered the e-books. I don't like to get e-books because they read so damn different from a dead tree version, but the trouble is I don't have any room for books, and I've got to get rid of a bunch. But there's this new book called He Chose Porn Over Me, and it's by I think she's from Australia. Don't quote me on that. Melinda Tankard Rice or whatever. And they had a good discussion of the book. And I'm glad I am not a young woman these days, because I would be scared to death to have anything to do with men, because they're so steeped up in porn. Oh my God, it's terrible. The porn is so bad. I mean, it's always been bad, but it's worse now, and it's like serial killer type stuff. They keep calling that strangulation, attempted strangulation, or attempted murder. They call it choking. No, it's attempted murder is what it is. And then the BDSM shit, the defecating and urinating on women, and all this horrible stuff. And this is being passed as normal. This is queer theory's horrible influence on society. And of course, porn, the two go together like bacon and eggs. And our society is being just totally ruined by this stuff. So women and girls, more of them, they're just going to turn away from it. They're just going to turn away from men altogether. Lots of luck trying to ban abortion in the United States, because that's not going to bring women back to the loving arms of their abusers. Not happening. So there was that. And then I've been following that thing about Kiwi Farms, but I'm only going to mention it a little bit. And this trans activist tried to shut it down, and in fact he succeeded in shutting it down. He calls himself Keffels, and he had it taken down from the hosting site that they had. And then the owner of Kiwi Farms went to a Russian domain that was taken down, and now it's on the so-called, I don't know if you call it dark web, but it's searchable on Tor, and Tor is slow as molasses in January. But he decided to freeze the threads that had anything to do with this guy, because all they were doing was just lapping it up, you know. And it was just, and the owner of Kiwi Farms just got sick of it. He's got a family emergency, and he just decided to freeze those threads, and because he's going to take a break anyway. So that's probably going to die down. I mean, it's all the big talk, or it was the last couple of days. But anyway, my feeling is, and their feeling was, that this particular trans activist was afraid of information that was archived that would prove damaging. And he has ambitions, you know, to make the bucks and stuff. So anyway, I'm not going to go into any more detail on that. But, you know, you got to ask yourself, getting back to all this other stuff, you know, are men really worth ruining your life for? Are they worth going to prison for the rest of your life? Are they worth committing suicide for? Are they worth risking your life for? That's the question on this Labor Day.